should be a lock-in for the NFC South champs for the third year in a row. CJ Stroud has proven he's an elite quarterback in this league. You could say top 10, top 15. He's definitely in that range. I'm not going to deny that. Very good quarterback. They have a very good team. There's a reason why they're back-to-back AFC South champs, and I believe they have a very strong case as to be three-time AFC South champions. I just don't see them finishing higher than the fourth seed in the AFC. When you look at all the teams in the AFC, the Bills likely going to finish potentially better than the Texans. They should get that division. Ravens or the Bengals, one of those two teams, are more than likely going to come out of the AFC North division. And I think that one of those two teams should have a better record than the Texans. And of course, the AFC West, you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, you got the Broncos. One of those three teams are likely going to come out of the division. And one of those three teams are likely going to have a better record than the Texans. So unfortunately, I think it's almost like a guarantee that the Texans will be the number one seed in their division. They will have one home game more than likely in this year's playoffs, but that's about it. I just don't see a scenario where they finish better than the other teams that I previously mentioned. So it's an unfortunate situation that, yes, you're guaranteed one home win, you're guaranteed a possible home win, or you're guaranteed one home game, possibly a home victory. But after that, when you go on the road, you're more than likely going to be facing the Chiefs, the Ravens, or the Bills in the second round. And those three teams, in my opinion, are like the beasts of the East, or the beasts, of the AFC. So those teams will be very hard to play against, especially when it's January football. But in this matchup, another key factor for the Rams now is Matt Stafford. Can he stay healthy? Of course, if he can, this team should be very competitive again. It doesn't matter if this guy is in like year 2 or 3 or going on to year like 16 or 17 or however long he's been in the league. He's always been a competitive guy. And since he's been with the Rams, he's only had one losing season or maybe 2 losing seasons. Maybe. But they've always been competitive every time they were in the playoffs. So I could say that this could be a team that threatens another team for a chance at a Super Bowl. Who knows? And when they lost Cooper Kupp, I'm like, well, who are they going to get to replace him? Then they go and had Devontae Adams. So still a pretty good wide receiver. He's not the Devontae Adams from Green Bay from like 3 or 4 years ago. But as long as he can get open and play better than he did with the Raiders, then I think he should have a successful year and help get this team back into the playoffs. So I would give the edge to the Rams, and this one, they should get the home victory over the Houston Texans. All right. Now for two teams from the NFC North, and I've said this before, the NFC North is stacked. I think the Packers, the Lions, you could maybe even say the Vikings are more than likely going to be the three teams that come out of that division, 1 through 3 respectively. The Bears might surprise us, who knows, but this should be a very intriguing matchup. And I know even though this is week 1, I think a lot of these games are more crucial to certain teams than others, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. The Packers, they obviously got Jordan Love. He's a pretty decent quarterback. If he can stay healthy, then he'll have a great season. But Josh Jacobs, he's the X factor for me. Does he have another 2,000-yard season in him? He had an amazing year last year. He had a bounce-back season after leaving the Raiders. And as long as he can stay healthy, he can run over any defense. This guy is just a freak of nature, and I'm sure the Packers are more than blessed to have him on their team. Plus, adding Micah Parsons on defense definitely will help this team propel to greatness. The Packers are definitely going to be a playoff team. Whether they finish first in that division, second, or third, I definitely see the Packers making it to the postseason in 2025. Now for the Lions, they're back-to-back NFC North champs. The thing for me is they lost both their offensive and defensive coordinators. Now, granted, it's not like you're losing a head coach or losing a starting quarterback, but when those guys were there, when they had their offensive defensive coordinator from last year, I think Ben Johnson was one of them, and then he ended up taking the job in Chicago. That might be tough because you have to now adjust to a whole new system now. So can the players adjust to a new system, something that they weren't used to last year, the year before? They're going to have to get used to this new 2025 scheme. Can the offense click? Can the defense click? There's a few question marks for the Lions. They're pretty much like a question mark for me. As long as they got Goff on as their QB, and they got a lot of talent around them, running back wise, wide receiver wise. But if they don't click, this is a question mark for the team. Again, they should be competitive. They should be a threat for the NFC North title for the third year in a row. But when you lose certain players or certain coordinators or certain coaches, it definitely can affect how the team fares the next season. So I still think the Lions are going to be competitive. If I had to make a prediction, I'd say they could finish maybe second in that division. I don't know if they have it in them to get back into first place. Now, again, everything that I say could be completely BS, and I could be lying through my teeth, but this could be the Packers' division to take. This could be Minnesota's division to take, or the Lions could three-peat. But I think one of those three teams are likely coming out at the NFC North. As for this particular game, I'll just say the Packers start the season off 1-0, and I'm sure the Lions will figure things out as the time goes on. Now, this I've said I've said a lot of matchups are like key matchups of the week. This one takes the cake, and thank goodness this happens on a Sunday night. A lot of people will be home, be watching this. This is obviously a rematch from last year's AFC divisional round between the Bills and Ravens. The home team yet again. You have two quarterbacks who are MVPs. Josh Allen just won last year. I believe Lamar Jackson won 2 MVPs, if I'm not mistaken. So these two teams, this could be another playoff preview, whether it's in Buffalo or in Baltimore. I think both these teams are going to be very competitive. They both should win their respective divisions, so you're almost guaranteed one, maybe two home playoff games as a wild card and division round, respectively. So I think this is going to be crucial. I'll give the edge to the Bills in this one. I think they are just so tired of hearing about they're a good regular season team, but they underperform in the playoffs. They want to get to a Super Bowl. They want a Super Bowl more than any team. And if any team deserves a Super Bowl, it's the Bills, especially if you were a fan back in the 90s when you went to 4 Super Bowls and you came away with 0. Yeah, I'm sure you're pretty heartbroken over that. And the fact that you always seem to be running into either Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs or Joe Burrow in the playoffs or Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, it's more than likely going to happen again this year. You're probably going to be playing one of those 3 quarterbacks again in January. So even though this is only week 1, this could be who has home advantage over the other in the playoffs. If the Ravens come away with an away victory and they happen to finish with the same record as the Bills, well, obviously they'll have the tiebreaker because they beat the Bills in the regular season. And obviously if the Bills happen to finish with the same record as the Ravens and win on Sunday night, they'll obviously have home field advantage in the playoffs. So this is a huge game. Week 1, whoever made the schedule for this is an absolute genius, and they deserve a raise. This will be a must-watch. But yeah, I am going to give the edge to the Buffalo Bills in this matchup. Finally, made it to the last part of the video, as we have a Monday night game between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. 2 teams from the NFC North and 2 teams with question marks around them. Can the Bears be better? Can Caleb Williams prove there's a reason why he was picked number 1 in 2023? Can he propel this Chicago Bears team back into a playoff hunt? They started off good last year. I'm pretty sure they started off 4-2, and then the wheels just came out from underneath them, and I think they only finished with 5, maybe 6 wins last year. It was very, very bad. But they finally beat the Packers in Green Bay after losing for like 8 or 9 years, or at least it felt like that. So yeah, I'm sure they're happy to get that Week 18 victory, but I guarantee they're more focused on getting a Week 1 victory and trying to stay above 500, trying to stay competitive. Again, that NFC North is just so good with the Packers, Lions, Vikings in that division. The Bears, I don't want to say they're going to be bottom dwellers of that division, but there's just so many good teams that if I had to make a prediction, the Bears will likely finish 4th in that division. Unless Minnesota gets off to a rough start or they don't click, or the Packers and Lions go through injuries or inconsistency, it's just tough for me to think of the Bears finishing higher than 4th or 3rd in that division. I'll give them 3rd as a best case scenario, but 4th as a worst case scenario. For the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, technically it's his 2nd year, but his 1st year as a rookie, he was hurt. So this is technically his rookie season, even though it's his 2nd year. Sounds a little confusing, but I'm sure it makes sense. Kenny Click. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is probably one of the best receivers in the league. So if him and JJ can get on the same page, they can lead the Vikings back into greatness. Minnesota had a fantastic year last year. If it wasn't for those pesky Lions, they would have won that division. But it's just tough. Like I've never seen an 11-win team finish as a wild card. Have you? I don't think it's ever happened. If it has, it's been very rare. Normally, when you get 10, 11 wins, you're more than likely going to have a home game. It's like 9 wins, maybe 10 wins. You might finish as a wild card. But yeah, the fact that like the Vikings and Lions were neck and neck in that division last year, and it came down to week 18, the Vikings just blew that. If they had beaten Detroit in week 18, they would have obviously had a home field advantage throughout. But it's tough. It's tough. A tough loss. Will they have a hangover where they lost Sam Darnold in the offseason? Can JJ McCarthy be just as good as Sam Darnold was? Only time will tell. Preseason's one thing because you don't really have starters playing for the most part. So this is when the real thing kicks in. So this is going to be a test for the Vikings, a test for the Bears. Again, question marks on both these teams. This for me was an absolute flip of the coin, but I will pick the Minnesota Vikings to come away with a road victory. So that's my predictions for week number 1. I do apologize for the length of the video, but again, there's so much to talk about and so much to that dissect between all of these teams. What I plan on doing is on Tuesday morning, I will do a review for week number 1, and then I'll do a preview for week number 2. It's just with work, my whole nights, they're all changed around. So unfortunately, Tuesday will be the day that I have my uploads for reviews and my previews for the following week. So we'll see how I do by the end of the week. Can I be perfect 16-0? It's unlikely. Will I finish above 500? Fingers crossed. What do you guys think? Who do you think wins in week number 1? Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Feel free. And we'll see how we do. Football season's back, baby, and I'm so excited. All right, guys, until next time, and as always, take care.